Hello everyone. In today's session, we will discuss the next topic in the chapter Organisms and Population. In the previous lecture, we discussed the growth models. We have discussed in detail about exponential growth model and logistic growth model. So now to understand even better, we'll make a comparison between exponential growth model and logistic growth model so that we can understand it a little better, right? So if we see the graph, what type of graph are we getting for exponential and what type of graph are we getting for the other one? Means, so one we get a J-shaped graph. So J-shaped graph we are getting for exponential growth, right? J-shaped graph we are getting for exponential growth, and for next one, logistic growth, we are getting a graph like this. For logistic growth, we are getting sigmoidal graph, right? This is sigmoidal. So this type of graph is for logistic growth curve. Now here, if you see, what is this one called? This is a carrying capacity. In logistic model, we tell at carrying capacity, they are at equilibrium. So what is this called? This is K. What is K? K is carrying capacity. So in exponential growth, we tell that the organisms grow beyond the carrying capacity. But in logistic model, we tell that, so they stop at carrying capacity. For exponential, what is the formula? For exponential growth, the formula goes like dN by dt is equal to Rn. And what is R? It is B, birth rate minus death rate into the population, right? So this is a formula for exponential. For geometrical, what's the formula? It is dN by dt is equal to Rn. We need to add the carrying capacity, K minus N by K. So this is a formula for logistic growth model. Now we will try to understand better by making the differences also between exponential growth and logistic growth curve. Now, exponential growth curve occurs when the resources are unlimited, right? When the resources are unlimited. But this occurs when the resources are limited. The resources are limited here. Exponential growth is also called as geometric growth, right? It's also called geometric growth. Whereas logistic growth curve is called as Verhulst per logistic growth curve. It's called Verhulst per logistic growth. Just now we have seen for exponential growth curve, the J shape is coming. It's J-shaped curve. And for logistic, it is sigmoidal curve. In exponential, this initial phase is called lag phase. And this peak phase is called log phase. Okay. So in logistic, this initial phase is called lag phase. And this one is log phase. And this is called asymptom phase or equilibrial phase. This one is called asymptom phase or equilibrial phase. So in J shape, there are two phases. After one point of time, there is a crash in the J phase. The J phase crashes down. So if we have to see what are the three phases in the exponential phase, means there are three phases. The first one is the lagging phase, which is called lag phase. This one is a lag phase, followed by peak rise, that is called log phase, which is the exponential phase. Now this one is a log phase and followed by crash phase. Even though you provide unlimited resources, so every organism has a lifespan, after that it will die. So when the death happens, they'll crash down. So there's a crash phase in the exponential. Whereas here if you see, there are three phases. What are the three phases here? The three phases are, the initial phase is lagging phase, and the second phase is log phase. There is no crash phase here. The third phase is equilibrial phase or asymptom phase. It is asymptom or equilibrial phase. Now here you can tell that crash phase occurs. Crash phase occurs due to death of organisms. But here there is no crash phase, right? There is no crash phase here. Here in exponential, the log phase is rapid, but it's not that rapid in this logistic growth curve. And here the formula is dn by dt is equal to Rn. Here the formula is dn by dt is equal to Rn. Carrying capacity also we need to add. So here we will tell, like, population exceeds beyond carrying capacity. Here seldom exceeds, like they maintain equilibrium at carrying capacity. Population will not grow beyond carrying capacity. And we tell this logistic growth curve is a realistic model because the resources are limited in nature. We tell this is possible only under lab conditions. This is possible only under lab conditions. So these are the differences between exponential growth curve and logistic growth curve. So these two are the population growth curve models. What are they? They are population growth curve models, right? So we understood the diagram also. We have seen the formulas also. We have seen what is carrying capacity. We have seen what are the three phases, and we have seen still more differences in which way we can differentiate logistic from exponential thing. Now the next topic in the chapter is life history variations. So let us talk about the next topic, which is called life history variations. Now what is life history? If you take a plant, life history means it's nothing but the life cycle. If you take the plant life cycle, in plant life cycle, what is that? Gametophytic stage, sporophytic stage. So these are the stages. And if you take animal, in animal, or take humans, in humans, infant stage, then after that adolescent stage, then adult stage, then senescent stage, and old age, like that we tell, right? So let us discuss our next topic. What is that? Life history variations. Life history variations. Let us discuss. Now come on. So Darwin is a person who proposed survival of the fittest, and Darwin is a person who proposed natural selection theory also. Now according to Darwin, what do you mean by fittest? The species fittest means, he means that the genes are fit. He means it's reproductive fitness. What do you mean by reproductive fitness? Means the genes are strong and genes are not changed, and the strong genes are able to pass to their next generations also. Means the species continuity is maintained. Okay, so let us start with this life history variations with the point of Darwin. So according to Darwin, so fitness means, what do you mean by fitness? Fitness means it is reproductive fitness. According to Darwin, fitness means it is reproductive fitness. What do you mean by reproductive fitness? Reproductive fitness means passing the dominant genes into the offsprings. It is the process of passing the genes into the next generations. They are called as offsprings. Now, on which factors it depends. Like if you see what they are talking about, they're talking about reproduction. They're talking about the lifespan of an organism. Now, if you see in life history variations, there are certain organisms. Which reproduce only once in their lifetime. There are certain organisms which reproduce only once in lifetime. What are such type of organisms called? They are called semiparous organisms. Such type of organisms which reproduce only once in their lifetime, they are called, what are they called? Semiparous. They are called semiparous type of organisms. Examples, if we have to see for semiparous type of organisms which can breed only once in their lifetime, so we can take the examples of salmon fish. We can take the example of bamboo. Now, the other category of organisms, if you go, you know, they reproduce many times in their life. Which reproduce many times in life. Now, the organisms which reproduce once in their life, they are called as semiparous. The organisms which reproduce many times in their life, what are they called? They are called heteroparous. So, what are these organisms called? They are called heteroparous. And examples for heteroparous are birds and mammals. Examples are birds and mammals. So the next point is, some organisms produce many offsprings of small size. Now see here, the organisms which are reproducing once in their lifetime, salmon fish and bamboo, they can reproduce only once in lifetime, and if they give birth to only one young one, then their number will be quite less. So since they know that they are reproducing only once in lifetime, they will try to produce as many number of individuals as possible. If they have to produce as many number of individuals as possible, size cannot be big then, size will be small only. So some organisms produce many offsprings of small size, means this is linked to semiparous organisms, salmon fish and bamboo. If we have to see the examples for this category, the examples are pelagic fish and oysters. And the other category, some organisms, in contrast, you know, they'll not produce many offsprings, they'll produce few offsprings. So since it is producing few offsprings, they can be of large size, isn't it? That means it's related to heteroparous. They know that they can reproduce as many times in the life. So then when they're giving birth to the young ones, they'll give less number of births, but they'll be of big size. So this point is related to heteroparous and this point is related to semiparous. Now the examples for this one, I told it's related to heteroparous, means birds and mammals are the examples here. The same thing. Examples are, again I'm writing, most birds and mammals are the examples here. Now, if we think, so which is desirable for maximum fitness? Now, we should ask whether this is desirable or this is desirable. This is a question. Which is desirable for maximum fitness then? This is a question. Now, how to answer which is desirable for maximum fitness? Means it is an interesting area of research for the scientists. Ecologists suggest that these life history traits of organisms have evolved because of the constraints of the different abiotic and biotic factors. If there are so many constraints, you know, so even though they have the biotic potential, they have the intrinsic rate of natural increase, if the resources are not there, they cannot reproduce and produce so many number of organisms. So ecologists suggest that the life history variations. So what do they suggest? Ecologists suggest that the life history variations or the traits, the life history traits of organisms they have evolved due to the constraints of various biotic and abiotic factors. Various biotic and abiotic factors in their habitats. Now, for example, you want to study, but if there is no space for you to study, if there's disturbance around, then you can't study, right? So you have the will and determination to study, but the surroundings are not matching. In the same manner, so ecologists, they suggest that the life history variations, the life history traits of an organism have evolved. They have evolved due to the constraints which have been posed by different biotic factors and abiotic factors. What are biotic factors? Biotic factors means population interactions, predation, competition, parasitism, all those things. Commensalism, like that. Abiotic factors, temperature, wind, soil, all these are abiotic factors. So they believe that the life history traits of the organisms are due to the constraints which are raised by these biotic and abiotic factors, right? Evolution of life history traits. So, evolution of life history traits in different species. Right? So, it is an important area of research for the ecologists. Evolution of life history traits of different species or in different species is an important area of research for the ecologists to study. What are the different traits the organisms have evolved due to the biotic and abiotic factors? This is an area of interest for the ecologists to study. Now, to understand this, what is that? What is Sebilparus and what is Itroparus? What are these type of species? What is this type of species? So, two scientist children, one name is Robert Arthur and his other name is Edward Wilson. So, they proposed R selected species and K selected species. Now, if you understand what is R selected species and what is K selected species, I think this concept will become clear for us. And in 2018 NEET paper, they asked a question on R selected species. Now let's understand this concept better with the help of R selection and K selection. Right? So these two species, they come under R and K selection only. Let's go and see that topic in today's session. So what are the names of the scientists who proposed R selection and K selection? Their names are, what are the names of the scientists? Robert Arthur and Edward Wilson. Let us write down. So, Robert Arthur and Edward Wilson. They popularized, what is the concept? They popularized the concept of R selected species and K selected species. They popularized the concept of R selected species. We will do comparative study so that we can understand better. K selected species. Now remember, R selected species are reproducibly selected species. K selected species are the species which are with the carrying capacity. Okay. So R selected species means they are reproducibly selected species. Whereas K selected species means, so they it's a population of, it's a population which gets stabilized, at carrying capacity, So this is R and K, R selected species and K selected species. R selected are reproductive selected species and K selected are carrying capacity selected species. This is our first point. I think you understood this. Now, our selected species are semiparous. So, what do you mean by semiparous? Which reproduce once in life. They reproduce once in life. Whereas, K-selected species, if you see, they are heteroparous. What do you mean by heteroparous? They reproduce many times in life. And we know if our selected species, they reproduce once in life, in that reproduction itself, they want to produce many number of progenies. So, they produce many offsprings. Since they can have an ability to produce, reproduce many times, they produce few number of offsprings. Since they are producing many number of offsprings, so the offspring sizes, they're small in size. They are small in size. Since they are big, we can tell they are large in size. So they are large in size. Now, since they are small in size and they don't have any parental care because there are many offsprings, so the parents can take care of how many offsprings? So we can tell no parental care. And here we can tell parental care will be there. And here, because parental care is not there, the lifespan will be short. And here, long lifespan. Since they have short lifespan, they show rapid growth. They grow fast. Time is not there. Rapid growth occurs. Since the lifespan is long, slow growth. Slow and steady growth occurs here, right? Then the intrinsic rate of natural increase, they are reproducing many number of offsprings, right? So that means the R value or the intrinsic rate of natural increase, you know, it is high. So all these points are interconnected. They produce many offspring. So intrinsic rate is high. Whereas here the intrinsic rate is low because the number of offsprings are few in number. So intrinsic rate is low here. Okay. Then these R selected species are density. They are density independent. Whereas K selected species are density dependent. So, what do you mean by density dependent? Means they depend upon the biotic factors. So, they depend on biotic factors. What are the biotic factors they are depending on? Competition, predation or parasitism. So, they depend on competition, predation, parasitism. So, K-selected species are density dependent species. So, they depend on which factors? Biotic factors. What are biotic factors? Interaction with the other living organisms. If both are competing, it's competition. If the one is eating the other one, it is predation. So, if the one is living inside the other one, that is parasitism. Whereas, we told these are density independent, means they do not depend on either biotic or abiotic factors. They don't depend on biotic factors or abiotic factors also. That is why the R selected species are called opportunists and K selected species are called as competitors. So the R selected species are called, what are they called? Opportunistic. And K selected species are called competitors. They are called, because competition is a main competitors. Understood till here? Now, if we have to tell, so they are competitors, means competition is strong here. So, the competition is strong. Since they cannot compete, the competition will be weak. If the competition is weak here, the survival ability will be less poor. The survival ability. Because the competition is weak, the survival ability will be poor. Because the competition is strong, the survival ability will be more here. Means the mortality rate is high. We can tell in other words like mortality rate is high here, and here I am writing mortality rate is low. Let's again quickly look about the R and K selected species. Who are those scientists who popularized this R selected species and K selected species? Edward Wilson and Robert Arthur popularized R selected species and K selected species. R means reproductively selected species. K means carrying capacity selected species. In R selected species, they reproduce once in lifetime. They are called semipares. K selected species reproduce many times in a life. They are called heteropares. Since they are reproducing only once in lifetime, in that reproduction itself, they will try to produce as many offsprings as possible. Here, they can reproduce many times in their life. They produce few number of offsprings. Since they are producing many number of offsprings in one reproduction, obviously the size will be small. Here, since of less number, the size will be big. Say the mother cannot take care of those many offsprings, right? So after reproduction, they die usually. So no parental care here. But here, since the parents are alive, parental care will be there. Now, because they reproduce once and they die, we are telling short lifespan they are having. They will have long lifespan. So, and then because they have very short lifespan, they grow very fast. So rapid growth occurs here because they have long lifespan, slow and steady growth occurs here. Since the number of offsprings are formed more here, the intrinsic rate of natural increase is high. That's what is the Battic potential. For semipares, the Battic potential is high. That means for R selected species, the Battic potential is high. And here, the intrinsic rate of natural increase is low. Why? Because less number of offsprings are only formed. And these are density independent. They don't depend on biotic or abiotic factors. They are opportunists. These depend on biotic factors like competition, predation, parasitism. That's why they are called competitors. Now, since they know how to compete, so competition strength will be strong there, competition strength will be weak here. Because the competition strength is weak, the survivability will be poor, means mortality rate, death rate will be more here. There, since they are strong, the survival rate will be more, the mortality rate also will be, low here. Now, if we have to see few more differences between R and K selected species, we'll see few more differences, then we will add the examples. Okay, hope you are understanding. This is very important topic. So only a bit has mentioned in the NCERT, but once in the NEET examination they have asked. So taking that into consideration, we are working in a better manner about what are R selected species and K selected species. Now the population size. If you talk about population size, since they are dying off, the population size will be variable. Whereas here in K selected species, that asymptom phase it will reach, right? So the population size is constant. It's fairly constant. In R, we are telling population size is variable, and here we are telling population size is constant. Now the habitat type is disturbed here because the population is dying. The habitat type is disturbed here, and the habitat type there is not disturbed, it is constant. And finally, if we have to see the examples of R selected species and K selected species, small plants, weeds also we can take, insects also we can take, bacteria. Small plants, weeds, insects, small fish are the examples of R selected species. Coming to K selected species, Canopied trees we can take, large mammals we can take, large turtles are the examples of K-selected species. Canopy trees, large turtles, large mammals, okay, and some parrots are the examples of K-selected species. So this is about our today's session. In today's session, we have seen the differences between exponential and logistic growth. The next topic we are discussing about life history variations. We discussed that topic is a very interesting research topic for the scientists, and then we came to what is R and what is K, R selected species and K selected species. We have seen the differences between R selected species and K selected species. Hope this content is informative. You understood the classes. If you like the lectures, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.